Hello and welcome to Monday Night Mashup. I'm Corey Drennan.
And I'm Melissa Holmes with your weekly news update. Last Monday, Breaking Bad's RJ Mitte came to USC to discuss his experiences on the show and growing up with cerebral palsy. SGTV had the ability to sit down with Mitte as he spoke of how he's overcome a lot to get to where he is today.
It doesn't register with me. I find that people that dwell on their insecurities and people that dwell on what they have in their affliction or whatever affects them, and it's not just a physical disability, but there's mental, and there's so many variations, and it does affect you. It does mess with your mind, and it does change who you are. But I think having that knowledge gives you something that no one else will understand unless they go through it.
Friday night, the second annual Carolina Ball was held to benefit the Martha Childress Foundation.
It's a meetup for all the young professionals in South Carolina. We're raising money for the Martha Childress Foundation to help her family afford a car that's fit for her needs. We've pretty much been selling tickets since the beginning of February, and tonight's the big night. Everyone's going to be here. There's live music, catering, a bar. It's pretty exciting.
In local news, University of South Carolina football player Natai Tolliver-Rogers was arrested by Columbia police first thing Sunday morning. The 19-year-old offensive lineman was charged with disorderly conduct and with consumption of alcohol, a person under the age of 21. Officers received a call from Hardin Street at 12:30 a.m. According to Jennifer Timmons of the Columbia Police Department, Rogers was being loud and boisterous. Authorities reported that he was cooperative, but he did not have a valid driver's license to show when he was asked to. He showed the police his USC ID, but later verified his Maryland license. Timmons says that the police were unaware that Rogers is a football player at the time of his arrest. However, she claims that this additional knowledge does not have an effect on his charges.
In other news, a motorcyclist was killed in a collision with a car early Sunday morning. According to South Carolina Highway Patrol, the accident took place on Broad River Road around 1 a.m. The motorcyclist, 53-year-old John Harrell, was driving a 2013 Harley-Davidson westward on Broad River Road when he veered off to the other side of the road, hitting a 1999 Toyota Camry. The reason for Harrell's loss of control is unknown, but he was killed in the collision. The car was carrying 2 passengers, and neither were injured. In addition, it has been noted that Joseph Harrell was not wearing a helmet.
A North Augusta man has been charged with murder that also took place on Sunday morning. 31-year-old Jerome Sullivan was arrested for following a shooting at Bennington Lane residence. When officers arrived at the scene, they found Tamar Stewart to be dead. The 30-year-old man suffered a fatal gunshot wound. The incident is believed to be the result of a domestic dispute and is currently under the investigation of ADPS and SLED. That concludes our university and local news. Corey Drennan will have the national news after the break. Don't click away.
Push your bypass with the bag over your head. Push your bypass on away from the end.
Welcome back to M&M. This is your national news update. 108 people remain unaccounted for, authorities say, after a massive mudslide in Arlington, Washington. At least 3 people have been killed in addition to numerous forced evacuations because of feared flooding. Washington Governor Jay Inslee described the scene as a square mile of total devastation. The slide wiped out one neighborhood of 28 to 30 homes and was reported to be about 60 feet deep in some areas. Those who live downstream of the slide have been told to seek higher ground as the Weather Service predicts catastrophic flooding. The cause of the slide is believed to be groundwater saturation from the heavy rainfall this month. First responders in Snohomish County called it the worst natural disaster they have seen in decades. 3 elephants escaped from a circus in Missouri on Saturday. No one was injured in the process, but multiple cars were damaged. Shrine Circus said handlers were able to recover the animals and they are now resting comfortably in their compound. Witnesses say the 3 elephants were spooked by loud noises when they ran off. Additionally, witnesses said trainers tried to find pretzels and other foods to help calm the elephants. The elephants were only out for about 45 minutes. Authorities cannot confirm how many cars and property were damaged. In other news, 3 cruise ships were among scores of boats trapped by an oil spill that caused the shipping channel connecting Galveston Bay in the Gulf of Mexico. On Saturday, a barge carrying almost 1 million gallons of heavy oil collided with a ship in the Houston Ship Channel at Texas City. A barge tank containing 168,000 gallons of oil was breached, but the Coast Guard said it was not clear how much oil leaked. 62 total vessels were affected by the closing of the channel. In addition to the spill, 6 crew members of the Miss Susan were injured. None of the injuries were life-threatening, though. Crews have been skimming the thick oil, but it is not clear when the channel can be reopened. More than 6 miles of contaminant booms are being used to protect the sensitive wetlands and wildlife habitats. A 150-acre prescribed burn northeast of Denver grew out of control when a massive dust devil swept in the tumbleweeds in the firefighters' direction. The prescribed burn was near the Rocky Mountain Arsenal National Wildlife Refuge. After hundreds of tumbleweeds caught fire, firefighters were forced to run for safety. The unexpected dust devil ended up burning an extra acre of land, but no property was damaged and no one was injured. Firefighters said that there was nothing they could do except get out of the way and wait for the fire to calm down. That concludes our national news this evening. Stay tuned for our world news with Alyssa Holmes. We'll be right back.
This is your 90.5 seconds. This is your 90.5 seconds. This is your 90.5 seconds of the news. Today is September 3rd, September 16th, September 25th. It will be mostly cloudy, partly sunny, a 40% chance of showers and thunderstorms after 10 a.m. There are over 100 freshmen, over 10%. Only 82, more than 150 people were ejected from Williams-Brice Stadium. South Carolina is celebrating the 50th anniversary of the school's desegregation. A USC student is charged with filing a false police report and false swearing. Tuesday night, the City Council held a meeting to the public to discuss its controversial efforts to deal with Columbia's homeless. Harris Pastides will give his State of the University address tomorrow as he begins his 6th year as university president. The women's soccer team, the men's tennis team, the USC women's golf team, the men's soccer team, the women's equestrian team begins competition today as they take on Kansas State. A new movie is providing audience members with a different perspective of a popular British boy band. Read all about One Direction, This Is Us, as well as all of the full news and sports stories. Find exclusive videos and even more at dailygamecock.com. Jeremy Urso, 90.5 seconds of the news.
Welcome back to Monday Night Mashup. This is a look at your news worldwide. Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak announced at a press conference this morning that an analysis of satellite data indicated the Boeing 777 crashed in a remote part of the Indian Ocean and that all lives were lost. As families of the Malaysian Airlines Flight 370 passengers grieve, the cause of the crash is still a mystery. Aviation experts say that it may take months to years to recover wreckage in the cockpit voice and flight data recorders. Once there is positive identification, investigators have to backtrack and find a debris field to determine whether the plane made a controlled or an uncontrolled descent into the ocean. The U.S. Navy is moving a black box locator into the area of the Indian Ocean where searchers are looking for the wreckage of the plane. Samples of a viral hemorrhagic fever that has killed at least 59 people in Guinea have tested positive for the Ebola virus. This is the first time an outbreak among humans has been detected in this West African nation. In addition to those who have been killed by the virus, 21 other cases have been reported. Doctors Without Borders has set up an isolation unit in Gamecock to try to stop the disease from spreading. Officials have not been able to determine how Ebola was introduced. Through that can result from contact with infected animals like bats or monkeys. Among humans, the disease is transmitted through bodily fluids. There are concerns that the disease could spread to the neighboring West African country, Sierra Leone, as it has already spread to Liberia. An Egyptian court ordered the release on bail pending trial of a prominent activist charged with breaking a new law that heavily restricts protests after he spent nearly 4 months in jail. Allah Abdel Fattah and 24 other defendants were charged as a part of a crackdown by authorities on dissidents. Abdel Fattah's lawyer called the judge on release him and the other imprisoned defendants, saying there is no reason for their continued detention. The judge agreed and set the bail at 10,000 Egyptian pounds, or approximately $1,400 US. Fattah's lawyer said his release was welcome as a start of the long road to guarantee justice. In a letter to his 2 sisters, Fattah described his jail time as a miserable state of the revolution. He felt that he was being oppressed, spending most of his day in solitary confinement. Venezuela's Attorney General says some security force members have committed excess in dealing with anti-government protesters, but insists that most officers are following the law. Attorney General Luisa Ortega says prosecutors are pursuing 60 investigations into alleged human rights violations by security force members in protests that have begun 5 weeks ago. 15 officers have been arrested so far. Most of the protests have been peaceful, but a small band of activists clashed with police and National Guard troops. One incident questions involve a Bolivian national policeman who fired tear gas at anti-government protesters in Caracas Saturday. Protesters complained about Venezuela's high inflation, shortage of basic goods, and violent crime. The president says that the opposition-led demonstrations are an attempt at a coup. Well, that is the end of our look at world news. This evening we'll have Gabi Shaka with the sports. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Monday Night Mashup. I'm Gabi Shaka with your weekly sports update. Although basketball regular season has come to an end, the South Carolina women's basketball team is the #1 seed in the Women's March Madness NCAA tournament. The Lady Gamecocks traveled to Seattle this past weekend for the women's NCAA tournament. On Sunday, the ladies took on SC Northridge, where they won 73-58. Their next matchup is against the 9th seed Oregon State Beavers. Tomorrow tip-off is at 9:40 p.m. We move from winter sports to spring sports, where the men's tennis team had a victorious Sunday. In a rare home-away doubleheader, the South Carolina men's tennis team began with a 4-1 win over Auburn in Columbia. They followed up this streak by dominating the Citadel 7-0 in Charleston. This Friday, the men will be traveling to LSU and will travel to Arkansas on Sunday. The Lady Gamecocks of South Carolina women's tennis team were not as victorious in their matches this past weekend. Our Lady Gamecock tennis team is now 1-6 in the SEC play after falling to the Auburn Tigers in Alabama on Sunday 4-1. The Gamecocks will return home and host two SEC opponents in the South Carolina Tennis Center, LSU Friday and the 5 p.m. And moving on from tennis, the baseball team is no longer the best in the country. Famous Jimmys and the Florida State Seminoles surpassed the South Carolina Gamecocks to be the #1 baseball team in the nation. The Gamecock baseball team won only one of 3 games against the Kentucky this past weekend. This leaves the Gamecocks 19-3 overall and 3-3 in the SEC. The men begin a 6-game homestand this weekend, facing College of Charleston Tuesday, Coastal Carolina Wednesday, and Tennessee next weekend. Our Lady Gamecock tennis team is now 1-6 after falling to the Auburn Tigers in Alabama. The softball team will come back to Columbia for a 7-game homestand beginning Tuesday with a doubleheader against Furman. In its inaugural season, the Gamecock sand volleyball team holds a record of 4-6 overall. This past weekend, the ladies hosted 4 teams for the Gamecock Invitational, where they defeated Oregon and the UAB and lost to LSU and Louisiana Monroe. The ladies will be back in action in Tallahassee, Tennessee next weekend, taking on Florida State, Jacksonville, and LSU. That's all we have for you in our weekly Gamecock Sports Update. Andrea Esselman will have our weather forecast update just after the break. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to M&M. I'm Andrea Esselman with your weekly weather update. It's going to be another crazy week of weather, so have your rain gear and your summer shorts available for use. Tonight, expect a low of about 40 degrees and expect some showers in the very early morning hours. Tomorrow, we'll have a high about 56 degrees and a low of 30, and once again, there will be a chance of some rain. The rest of the week is going to be slowly warming up into the 70s with sun on Sunday, but rain and clouds throughout the rest of the week. Fortunately, Sunday will be looking absolutely beautiful with sun and a high of about 70 degrees. If we look at the rest of the nation, it's going to be a pretty cold, wet Tuesday for tomorrow and for tonight, with some snow up in the northeast and the upper Midwest, and then continued rain in the west. So there's going to be a continued threat of mudslides throughout the west in the affected areas. That's it for your weather update this week. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back after this short break.
This is your 90.5 seconds. This is your 90.5 seconds. This is your 90.5 seconds of the news. Today is September 3rd, September 16th, September 25th. It will be mostly cloudy, partly sunny, a 40% chance of showers and thunderstorms after 10 a.m. There are over 100 freshmen, over 10%. Only 82, more than 150 people were ejected from Williams-Brice Stadium. South Carolina is celebrating the 50th anniversary of the school's desegregation. A USC student is charged with filing a false police report and false swearing. Tuesday night, the City Council held a meeting to the public to discuss its controversial efforts to deal with Columbia's homeless. Harris Pastides will give his State of the University address tomorrow as he begins his 6th year as university president. The women's soccer team, the men's tennis team, the USC women's golf team, the men's soccer team, the women's equestrian team begins competition today as they take on Kansas State. A new movie is providing audience members with a different perspective of a popular British boy band. Read all about One Direction, This Is Us, as well as all of the full news and sports stories. Find exclusive videos and even more at dailygamecock.com. Jeremy Urso, 90.5 seconds of the news.
Well, I know Carolina Cup is this weekend. It's actually this Saturday, and I am very excited.
Are you going to be going?
Yeah, are you guys going?
Oh, no, I have not. I plan to relax this weekend, actually. It's been a pretty crazy past couple weeks.
I'm excited, but after your weather report this Saturday, doesn't look too promising.
Well, bring your umbrella and your summer shirt.
You never know.
Thanks for watching this edition of Monday Night Mashup. Be sure to follow our coverage throughout the week on our website and follow us on Twitter at SGTV News 4. Have a great evening.